To make our tile, we're going to start with a rough draft before we start adding tiles onto our cardboard piece. We're going to make our tile 8 by 8 tiny mosaic pieces. So we are going to start with a 0 in one box, and then we're making a grid that's 8 across. So I'm going to write 1 through 8, and then I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. Then I'm going to do this in markers so that you can see it better. I know that 8 times 8, or 8 multiplied by 8, is 64. So I know that I have 64 tiles to work with. I'm going to mark it off so that I can see the tiles that I'm working with instead of accidentally ending up over here. Then I'm going to decide what my design is going to look like. I've decided that I want a border of the same color tiles that go all the way across. So I'm going to first sketch it out in pencil so that I can erase it if I need to. And then I'm going to do the first initial of my last name. So the first letter of my last name is a D. And I'm going to sketch that out. I'm going to do a lowercase d, because an uppercase D is really hard to do with just these few tiles, and that's okay. And I think I like that look of my D. So now I'm going to go in and add color to it. I'm going to use markers because it's fast, but you can use whatever you want. This is our map, our rough draft, so that when we start putting our tiles on, we know where we want the tiles instead of just placing them on there and hoping for the best. So I'm coloring them in. I want my D to be a different color than my border so that it sticks out. And then I think I want my background to have just a few splashes of pattern in there too. So I'm going to have just a few of the tiles have patterns in the background, but not too much because I don't want it to distract from my letter D, which is more important to me. All right. Then I'm all done with my map. So now that I have my map, I can get started on my tile. I'm using a piece of cardboard so that it has some structure to it. I'm going to line up my paper tiles just like the way that my map is drawn. So I'm going to glue them down. I'm using just Elmer's glue sticks. I'm going to glue them down in parallel lines. Parallel means that they go the same direction. So I'm going all the way across here, getting to the end, then I'm going to the second line, going across here, then I'll go to the third line. So I'm not doing the first line and then moving down here and then over here, because I want them to be in nice parallel lines. All right, with a glue stick, these are tiny pieces, so I'm going to just lightly put my tile on my glue stick to get a little bit of glue on it and glue it down. Then I'll do the next one. A little bit of glue goes a long way. Your fingers are probably going to get sticky, but that's how you know you're making art. So I'm gluing all the way across before I go anywhere else. I'm going to work on it and come back. All right, I've done the first row, so now I'm going to move on to the second row. My first one is a green square. So I'm carefully lining it up because I want it to be parallel across like that. Then my next one is a different color square. I chose to use these bright green squares instead of this funny green colored marker. My squares are two-sided, so they have different colors on each side. Nope. Then my next one is a white square. So remember, I'm not going all the way down here because then I wouldn't be able to go back up and fill in the space in nice, neat lines. All right, what's next? Right, a light green. My tiles might not be perfect squares, but just do your very best to line them up. And then another white. And then I start my D. I chose to do my D in purple instead of orange. And then next would be white and then green. I'm going to work and come back. All right, so you can see I have worked 4 of my rows across, and I haven't even started down here because I'm going all the way across and working in parallel lines all the way across. All right, you can see the rest of mine in my example. Make sure that you have nice, neat parallel lines and that it's in a grid like this. That is 8 across and 8 down.